Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a long wait, but I have indeed returned after a long summer of absence, and I apologize for the wait, but I am back for the school year, and I'm dedicated in this new season to being more productive and trying to hit my goals and grind out the content for you all. And in this new phase, I'm going to be trying to shift a little bit away from covering exclusively current events. I'm going to still sprinkle them in if they're relevant to the topic, but I would prefer to shift my content towards kind of principles that you can apply every day, and a principle that I learned recently, known in the podcast industry and content creating industry as being evergreen, which means that you can listen to this in 10 years and you won't be confused by all the current culture references, but it will be something applicable to your daily life at that time as well. So my first entry in this series is going to be just something I've been thinking about lately. And as we go on, you can give me suggestions and I'll talk about that as well. Any questions about life or really anything else that you would like me to cover on this podcast / YouTube channel, I will be happy to look into that and do deep dives for you and keep cranking it out with stuff to improve your everyday life. So the first one is a question that I recently asked myself, and here I'll set this up a bit. So everyone's life is made up of various actions, decisions, habits, and the relationships that they're engaged in. And every life is the sum total of the actions that the individual takes, the beliefs that they hold, activities they partake in, and the people they do it with. And so let's take me as an example. My identity is found largely in my faith, family, friends, what I do for work, my hobbies that I do in my leisure time, which at present aren't that many, but I'm going to work on that. And presently, a big part of who I am is also my pursuit of education, so my identity as a student and my newfound enjoyment of working on my physical fitness. So for each of those activities or choices or beliefs, there is an underlying question that I've begun asking myself recently, and that is why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And why do I avoid the things that I'm not doing? And these are some of the biggest questions that anyone can ask themselves, because recently I've been thinking about it a lot, and the more you look at it and think about it in your own life, it can really change your perspective. So for everything you do, you need to ask yourself why you're really doing it. For example, let's go with the biggest one in my life. On a religious front, why do I go to church several times a week, pray as often as I can, try to faithfully read my Bible, etc.? You need to have a really solid answer on that one, because if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing on the faith front, you better figure it out fast, because this is one of the biggest parts of your life, and it can have the biggest consequence if you're incorrect in what you believe. So the answer that I would give for why I do these things, partake in these activities, is that I believe in an omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, and eternal God that created all that is. And I believe that this world is not all that exists. What we do on earth makes a difference in what happens when we leave it and enter the afterlife. And if I believe all of that to be true, then the only reason that I exist is that God willed it to be so, and I have to spend my time on earth living up to that and doing the best I can as a child of God. And if you really believe all the things that I said, then there's nothing else you can do but act accordingly, because one would think that the creator of the universe, who holds your life in his hands and will judge every action that you take in this life and take it into the consideration of where you spend the afterlife, would deserve all the praise and glory that you can muster up and all the devotion that you can show. And if you say that you believe that God exists but fail to act that way, then belief doesn't really mean anything. You can say all day that you believe in God, but if you act in a manner contrary to that, then it doesn't do you much good at all. So that's why I live the way I live from a religious point of view. And that is definitely not all there is to the story. I could spend multiple episodes and probably fill hours of content talking about it, but there's just too many questions to dive into on my own, so I'll wait for you guys to ask that, and then I'll address them as they come. Let's go to another example. Why do I go to the gym, try to go to the gym 5 days a week? My answer is, and I've tried to formulate this and make it as strong as I can, the answer to that would be to improve my physical condition so I'll enjoy a healthy life and unlock the full strength and aesthetics that my body is capable of. I believe There was that quote from Socrates, "It is a shame for man to grow old without seeing the strength and beauty of which his body is capable." And that's really true. It's smart from a health perspective to engage in physical exercise, and also is a way of being a good steward, tying back into our first point, being a good steward of the body that God has given you. And also there's the added benefit of becoming more physically appealing. That's kind of a minor one. That's not really the main reason why you would work out, but that helps, that comes with it. And you also would feel more confident, and you become more useful as a man or a woman to those around you in your family and etc. A stronger man is much more useful and happier than the same man if he was weak. And with all these benefits, it doesn't really make sense to neglect working out, so that's why I do it. Let's do one more, and on this one we'll look at a reason of something that I don't do, because those all need a why too. You need to understand why you don't do some things. So I do not drink, smoke, or consume any form of drugs. So why? This answer ties back to the previous two and also has some additional reasons of its own. I don't partake in these activities and substances because, number one, I believe I'm supposed to represent in my body the nature of holiness and purity that is found in God, and be a living example of that on earth. And in putting these things into your body causes serious negative effects, and that leads us into number two, which is that they just make you feel kind of bad in general, like from a health perspective. And they might give you, like, I've never done it, but I can see how, like, you take a drink, you get a bit of a buzz, or you smoke a cigarette, calms you down. But really all these things just are wreaking havoc internally, and you're sacrificing your long-term health and fulfillment and basically the pristine condition of your body for a temporary feel-good that just fades away, and then afterwards you don't feel that good at all. And finally, number three, a lot of substance habits that people have cause them to do some really stupid stuff. So like drinking in particular, but also a lot of the hard drugs make you lose self-control and inhibitions, and they often lead you to surrender to your base nature, which is what you're supposed to be fighting against. So by avoiding them altogether, I cut out the risk of damaging my reputation or saying something stupid that's going to haunt me for years because I was out of my head or high or drinking or something. So there you have it. That's why I don't do some of the things that I don't do. So let's take this principle and let's look at the applications for your personal life. So first of all, I would recommend just adopt this practice in general. Have this as a mindset. I don't like to say mantra because that's kind of a new agey thing, but just think it when you're about to take an action or when you're looking at things that you presently do. Ask yourself why. Think about it as it relates to various things that you do and things that you don't do, as I've gone over. And there's a saying that you only find out what you believe when you question everything you think you believe. So I'm not saying to go digging around and questioning your core beliefs, because there's some things I just know absolutely to be true and I will never give them up or surrender them or change them. But even for those, you need to see if you can adequately defend it. So ask yourself why you do those things, and I believe, as somebody says, try to get a pry bar under it. And then if you find somewhere where the defense is a little weak, maybe research into it a little more and beef up your reasoning of why you do that. And so you check your foundation, make sure it's solid. And if you can't come up with a good reason why you do something, one of two things need to happen. You need to research into it and try to formulate a reason. And if you can't do that, then you should probably sit down and think about it long and hard for a bit, and then ask yourself if that's something that needs to be adjusted. And okay, so let's take one happens all the time, every day. When you pick up your phone and you're going to go start scrolling on Instagram or something, ask yourself why. Are you just looking for the dopamine hit? Are you just doing it because you're bored and have nothing else to do? If you're doing it to learn and catch up on current events and just check real quick what your friends are up to and share in their joy, great. But if you're just bored, want some low effort entertainment, you should probably put that down and go pick up a book or something. And I'm not saying that you can never go onto social media apps and scroll for a few minutes just to wind down or just check up on random posts, because there's some enjoyable entertainment, but it shouldn't be a common practice, because there's a lot better ways that you can spend the time improving your mind instead of just filling it with things that will come and go and you won't even remember it. It was just kind of a mindless dopamine buzz. Another example, let's say you want to buy a new item of clothing or some other item, personal accessory. Why? Do you need it because you've outsized your old stuff? You're getting it to up your style. Awesome. But if it's in your means, go ahead. But if it's to impress people that you don't even like and you're buying it with money that you don't have, or you're just buying it for brand clout, then probably hold off on that. And especially if it will be a big financial hit, because just go ahead with what you have, keep working hard and make the money, and then when it's in your budget, you'll just be living your regular lifestyle and you'll realize that your everyday purchases are impressing people without you even having to think about it, because that shouldn't be your goal anyway, and you can dress to impress on your own terms and not on anybody else's. This practice of asking yourself why you do things has a lot of applications, and it will improve your life in a lot of ways. So join me as I apply it in my own life, because I haven't even begun to really scratch the surface. So we can improve together, and I look forward to having you with me on this journey. So in conclusion, as this is my first time putting out this style of content, let me know if you guys liked it and want to see more in the near future. I would really love to hear from you in the comments with suggestions for topics and things you want me to cover. And until next time, have a great day, keep improving, and God bless.